Nine Perfect Strangers. That's right, folks. This is the latest from David E. Kelley, who has been pretty good. He's made some interesting stuff. And then this came out. And I was genuinely excited. I'm like, oh my goodness, Nicole Kidman's back doing a thing like this. We got a great cast in here. And I'm genuinely excited. I think coming off of The White Lotus really helped me want to understand what this was going to be. Because I'm like, oh, we're going back to a resort. We're going to get weird in our dark humor. And that was what I was hoping for. Nine Perfect Strangers is not like that. It's kind of weird, and I don't think this show is bad by any stretch of the imagination. It is a well-made show. It is well acted. It is very interesting at times, but at other times, it's kind of dull, which is really a detriment to what could have been something compelling. Because you got 9 different people coming to this resort led by Nicole Kidman, and they're all coming here to like rejuvenize and be a different version of themselves than they've been before. You have tremendous actors playing these roles, and we are seeing kind of like how they can become these different people through the process of whatever it is that needs to be to get them to that next step in their life. It's pretty interesting. That's a fun concept that I'd be like, if you got top tier talent to work on this, it's going to be special and unique. And you know what? It's okay. The problem is it gets bogged down by all this kind of like extra crap that doesn't need to be in it, or it's a little too long. I think 6 episodes is a tight fit for this. It could work better. 8 was just a stretch. It was just a little bit of a stretch, which is kind of weird to say for a show that is so steeped in just being like calm and quiet. One of the things I will say I enjoyed about the show is as the series progressed, the camera work became more loosey-goosey as the characters did. One of the things we learned early on is that these characters are kind of being drugged, and as the story progresses, the camera work kind of feels like it's being drugged along with that, where it just starts off very stiff, then it kind of becomes floaty, and then it becomes very ethereal. I think that's a good use. It's very, cinematic. It's very an auteur telling a story that way, and in that regard, I think it works really well. It looks cool. It is shot cool. I think some of the characters are very well done, and the actors in them are great. My standouts in this show are, of course, Melissa McCarthy, who is, I think, one of the most underrated actors of our time. She is very well in comedy roles, but when she wants to do serious work, she can do some incredibly good serious work. She's a tremendous actor who doesn't get the respect she deserves. Maybe it's because she picks really weird projects to work on, but she's great in this, playing this kind of like more recluse author type who wants to come out of her shell in a sense to go against this person that broke her heart, which I think the storyline for her character, Frances, is actually one of the most compelling things I've seen on television, just because I think that idea of building up a certain person in your mind and having that not be the reality is a very human thing to experience, and they handled that in a really mature way. I really like seeing her story progress. Of course, I lay it to Bobby Cannavale's character, Tony. I think the curmudgeon older gentleman who kind of like, why am I here? What's the point of all of this? Not just like being in the like resort itself, but in the aspect of the show, like what is the point of his life? I liked his character. They were 2 of the standouts to me. I enjoyed that a lot. I think Luke Evans did good too, but he was pretty much just playing that Luke Evans type character. I felt the same way about Nicole Kidman. Now, I will say this. I am a fan of Nicole Kidman. I think she's a talented actor. I don't think she did that good in this role. I think like her portrayal was weird. The voice was off-putting at times. And the wig, if it's a wig, it didn't look good. If that's her natural hair, sweetie, you got some issues because it looked off. The hair was very distracting. It did not feel authentic or good. And it was just kind of weird to see that. Mandy Pacinto is in this. He did great. I liked seeing him do a different type of role than what I'm familiar with from him. Of course, I've only seen him in The Good Place, but he was great. He looked great. He did a great performance. The show itself just had this different level to it. And I think my expectations, especially coming off of something like The White Lotus, it really hindered what I thought this was going to be. But it was still interesting enough. I think there's some good storylines. I can't remember the name of the family, but there's the family led by Michael Shannon, and they're dealing with the death of their son. I think that storyline was probably the most compelling. It's the one I think that was focused on the most, just because it deals into a lot of like ideas of trauma and what do you do when there's like a suicide in your family? How do you handle those things? How do you experience those? What is like your like communicative grief that you're experiencing? That was an interesting area to explore. At times, I think it got bogged down by trying to do like too much of like the ethereal stuff, and it didn't like stick true to like helping these people agree with that stuff. I think that's kind of the other thing in this too. Like, not a lot of like the actual like payoff is earned. It feels more like episodes of dealing with grief, and then at the end you're just better, instead of like having this clear-cut picture of what the grief is and how they are experiencing and dealing with this trauma. I think there's some characters where it's clearly more like they got the help they needed, and then there's some where it's just like, yeah, the story needed to wrap up. They got the help, or they just did what they needed to. I want to make a statement here before we continue, and I know some people are going to disagree with me, but I have to bring this up because I think it's very important. Samara Weaving is talented. I think she's a great actress. I'm going to say she is better than Anya Taylor-Joy. That might be a controversial thing to say, but she's good. And she was good in this role because I think this suits her. That role she did in this show suits the generation that she's a part of. And those fears and insecurities that she has, it felt realistic. And I think that was a really cool thing to see. I just wanted to say that. I know some people might disagree with me. I think she's a good actress, and I think this really shows you that she can do interesting stuff. It's not my favorite role of her, but it's interesting to see. I will say that. It is interesting to see. This show, I don't know. I'm trying to, like, how do I justify people watching this? Like, would I recommend people check this out? There's some great acting in here. There's also some weird acting in here. But I think the acting that is great, like, uplifts the show to be something special. Lesser talents would make this annoying. If you can get past like the weird stuff that Nicole Kidman is doing, you could genuinely see an interesting arc for her character and a genuinely interesting story for her. If you can't, she is going to become a distraction. To me, eventually she did become a distraction where I'm like, I get it. You're not helping this show. You're not building it up in any way. It wants to play in a bunch of different genres, but I think at the end of the day, it's more like a psychological thriller type of thing than it is like a comedy or a drama. And if it kind of like pitched itself as that, maybe it'd be better, but it just kind of missed the mark on a lot of the stuff it was trying to present. The acting is phenomenal. The camera work is pretty impressive. At times it is pretty standard, but that's okay when you have great actors doing great work on screen. The show itself, very compelling in some moments, but at other moments you're just like, okay, I see what you're doing here. I think this trope was done better in different properties, but overall, I can't say I hated it. I did watch every episode. I was intrigued by it, if not only for like the storytelling being presented. At times, I'm just like, I get it. I got you. You're a little long. You don't need to do certain these moments here. And maybe get rid of some of the characters. Maybe 7 perfect strangers. That could work too. We didn't need all the extra stuff, but you know what? Not bad. I will say it's not that bad. Weird though. Just kind of a weird thing. David E. Kelley, he makes a lot of weird properties, but what can I say? I watched it. I enjoyed it enough. I don't think it's perfect, but it's cool. And Melissa McCarthy, give her some bigger work, please. This woman is a talent. Let her work. She's great. So, 9 Perfect Strangers, I am going to give a 6 out of 10. Now, thank you guys for watching this review. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. I will catch you guys in the next one. Have fun. Stay safe. Good luck.